I thought my wife was trying to fix our marriage when she threw me an anniversary party, but it was a setup to publicly announce she was leaving me for her boss. Too bad for her. The reaction from her own family made her regret everything. So, I'm 25 and I've been married to Veronica, also 25, for 3 years now. We've actually been together for 6, but honestly we're headed for divorce. She's putting all the blame on me and I just don't think that's fair. The main reason we're splitting up? She had an affair with her boss. And get this, she thought it would be a brilliant idea to humiliate me at our anniversary party, right in front of all our friends and family, by bragging about it. Well, that didn't exactly go to plan, and now she's trying to bargain with me, wanting to fix everything. Our marriage has been rocky for about a year, mostly because of her family. Arguing with her about them wasn't new, but this was different. They were pushing us to have a baby, and Veronica even went along with it. But I just wasn't ready. Financially, I don't think we're there, and I really don't want to depend on her family for money. She's totally fine with it, though. They've looked down on me since we started dating, since it was clear I'd never meet their standards. Veronica's parents are both doctors and super rich. Her 2 older brothers are also doing really well. So yeah, she's definitely spoiled. Even back in college, I knew I couldn't afford the lifestyle she was used to anytime soon. It's not about feeling inferior. It's just being honest and practical. My single mom raised me and did her best to get me an education, so I'm serious about my career. I want to advance before I even think about kids. I'm 25. I'm not running out of time. Besides, if we tried for a baby now, it would be really hard to maintain our current lifestyle since we're both early in our careers. I thought that was pretty easy to understand, but for some reason she completely refused to even try. She just believed that since her parents thought it was the right time, having been married for almost 3 years, it simply had to happen, consequences be damned. So we fought about this a lot. I wasn't ready for a baby, and she wouldn't give up the idea. She just kept pushing and we argued for months. Her family didn't help. They just poured gasoline on the fire, constantly offering to cover the finances after the baby. To Veronica, it seemed like her parents were helping. To me, it felt incredibly disrespectful, especially considering how they'd always treated me. From the very beginning, my in-laws made it clear they didn't think I was good enough for Veronica because I didn't have as much money as they did. It was no secret. They were openly snobby and never treated me like family. I don't even think they accept me now, even though they've been pressuring their daughter to have a kid with me. But honestly, I think that's just because they're bored and want grandkids to play with. Anyway, I wasn't about to accept financial help from Veronica's parents. It would be humiliating. Of course, she thought I was being egoistical and narcissistic, and that became a frequent fight topic because she thought I disliked her family, even though I had good reasons not to. That's been the last few months and it's been really bad. The only reason I hadn't considered divorce until now was that after every fight, she'd eventually try to make it up to me, and we'd fall back into the same unhealthy, toxic pattern. But I still loved her, so I didn't want to give up easily. After what happened, though, I think I have to. In the weeks leading up to our 3rd anniversary, she started being extra nice, saying she was planning a party for us. We hadn't fought in a month, and I actually started thinking we were patching things up, that maybe she finally understood my side. So I was pretty excited about the party, completely unaware of what was coming. The party was about 4 days ago, and right now everything's a total mess. All our friends and family were there, and Veronica and I were getting along really well. But then everything changed as soon as her boss showed up. It felt like she went from being my wife to his. As soon as he walked in, she left my side and started getting all touchy with him, and he was doing the same back. It was so weird to watch, and I was so shocked I couldn't even speak. A few minutes after he arrived, she decided to make a speech. I thought it was for me, and technically it was, but not how I expected. She started by talking about being married to me for 3 years, knowing me for 6, and the good times we had. Then she talked about wanting a baby and how I wasn't ready, no matter how much she tried to talk me into it. At that point, I started thinking something was really off because this was incredibly personal, and I didn't think it needed to be shared with a room full of people. I tried to tell her to stop, but she just kept going, airing all our dirty laundry, making me incredibly uncomfortable. The way she put it, it made me sound like the bad guy. Obviously, I was getting weird looks from everyone as she shared our issues. But then it got worse. Eventually, she started talking about how tired she was of fighting with me, how it had taken a toll, and she broke down at work one day. That's when her boss, Nathan, 39, decided to chat with her. Instead of scolding her, he was there as a friend, and that's when they started bonding. This was about a month ago, but within a week they were spending all their time together at work and after. All they do was talk. Soon enough, she started feeling like she'd made a mistake marrying me because Nathan seemed perfect for her in every way. Then she announced she'd wasted enough of her time with me. But now she needed someone who truly understood her. She told me I'd hurt her a lot over the past few months. So, on our 3rd anniversary, she was setting me free because she was leaving and moving in with Nathan. When she said that, I just froze. Even now, thinking about it, my mind goes blank. I don't know what to say. Of course, I have things to say. I was hurt, angry, and totally humiliated. But I just couldn't put it into words because I was in shock more than anything. Since I didn't say anything, nobody else dared to for a while until finally my in-laws spoke up. It was quite unexpected because up to that point, they'd only ever spoiled Veronica rotten. But all of a sudden, after her announcement, my father-in-law spoke up and said it was disgusting and he wanted nothing to do with her anymore. Her dad sounded furious. Right after he said what he had to say, he walked out, followed by her mother, who didn't even look back. Her brothers were there too, and Veronica was pretty shocked by her parents' reaction. So she tried to look to them for help. But they just told her that what she had done was horrible, and they couldn't stand for it either. Then they left too. Slowly, all the guests started leaving because I don't think anybody had anything to say after that, as everything had just become really awkward. Eventually, I came to my senses. As soon as I did, I told Veronica I wanted her and all her things out of the house as quickly as possible. I didn't even want to look at her. She didn't argue. She just went to her room and started packing with Nathan. Within an hour they were gone. The only 2 people who stayed were my mother and my younger brother. My older brother couldn't be there because he lives out of state. After Veronica and Nathan left, my mom and younger brother let me cry on their shoulders for hours and consoled me because I had completely broken down. My brother left the next day, but my mother is still here with me, and even my older brother has been in touch, so that's been a little helpful at least since I'm not alone. They've already put me in touch with an attorney, and in a few days I'm going to file for divorce. But right now I don't know what to do. Right after the incident, I was pretty sure I wanted a divorce and to be done with all of this. I never wanted to see Veronica again. But then 2 days ago she reached out, begging me to forgive her. She told me she'd made a huge mistake, but had just wanted to get back at me for how I'd been treating her. That she'd been really hurt by everything. She sent me proof of her quitting her job, saying she'd cut all ties with Nathan and was staying with a friend now because she'd realized she'd only been doing all of this to get my attention and make me jealous, but she'd obviously gone about it the wrong way. She also reassured me that things with Nathan had been strictly emotional. But I can't really trust her on that. Especially after everything that's happened. Right now she's telling me she wants us to get marriage counseling and give our relationship another chance because we've been together for a really long time and gone through a lot of tough times, but we've always come out stronger. So, she believes we owe it to each other to give ourselves another chance. She's also been telling me that in the past couple of months, she'd been feeling really misunderstood by me and was getting sick of the constant fights, which is why she'd done something so crazy and extreme, and she really regretted it. But she knew we could make it work if we wanted to. It's been a lot for me to process and I've been feeling very confused about my emotions, especially since she's brought up a lot of things she thinks I did wrong in the past few months, and I don't know how to deal with that. Apparently, she thinks I've been emotionally distant from her. And my strained relationship with my in-laws was a huge part of why we've been fighting so much. She thinks that even though she made a lot of effort to get along with my family, I never did the same. Although, I don't think that's the same thing because my family never looked down on her. Anyway, apart from that, I definitely agree that I had indeed been quite distant from her recently, but that was only because we'd been fighting so much, and I figured that if we didn't even interact we couldn't fight. But I'd still say none of that would be enough to explain something like what she did, and my friends and family feel the same way. As a matter of fact, my mother has even suggested that maybe she's trying to fix things with me because her family clearly didn't approve of her decision to humiliate me at our anniversary party. And now because she didn't want to lose access to her family's wealth, she was trying to fix the situation with me. And that could be true. I don't even know what to think about anything anymore. I guess what I want to ask is, am I the jerk for being emotionally distant from my wife? and not making an effort to get along with her family? Update 1. Hey. Thank you so much to everybody who commented on my post and supported me. It really means the world to me, especially given what I'm going through. I'm very grateful for all the support I'm receiving from everywhere. Anyway, talking about what's going on with me and Veronica right now, I decided to respond to her today. It's been 3 days since I posted, so almost 5 days since she sent me those messages, and so far I hadn't been responding. I was just really confused about what to say to her because honestly my mind wasn't working straight. I didn't know what to think, I didn't know what to believe, and I was just so lost and confused that I actually started to think that maybe she had a point. It took a lot of convincing from friends and family, and even you guys, to make me realize that she absolutely didn't. But now that I knew it, I wasn't going to entertain any of her baloney. She had been texting me nonstop for the past 5 days, so I decided to finally respond. I told her that whatever she had done, there was just no explanation for it. I was just as upset with her as she had been with me, probably even more, because even though I had always tried to understand her, she had never done the same for me. And yet, even though I had been upset, doing something like this never would have even occurred to me in my wildest dreams, because not only is it humiliating for the other person, but it's also just a really bizarre thing to do. Besides, I had always loved her, and I guess I had loved her more than she loved me because I never would have done something like this to her. I also told her that it was really sad and disgusting that she was trying to gaslight me into believing that maybe part of this was my fault, and that maybe I had pushed her to do something like this with my behavior because I liked her. But at least I had a reasonable explanation for how I've been behaving recently. I had been emotionally distant because every time we would talk, we would inevitably end up fighting over something or the other, and that mostly happened because she refused to understand me. But I always forgave her because I did understand her. And about her family, I was happy that they had decided to take a stand against what she was doing, but that had not been for my sake. In the past couple of messages, she had mentioned that even though my in-laws had been kind of cold towards me in the beginning, they had obviously accepted me as part of the family, and that's why they had stood up for me at the party. But in my opinion, I had nothing to do with the situation. They were just upset that Veronica had done something so stupid and ruined the family's reputation in front of so many of their relatives. So for her to try and manipulate the situation and make her family look good so I would feel guilty about not making an effort to get along with them was just silly. The truth was that they had always disliked me, and they had never wanted to give me a chance. The fact that I seemed to be fine with them not liking me and my decision to not make any extra efforts to get them to approve of me is probably what made them even more upset with me. This is probably why they had taken it upon themselves to try their best and meddle in our marital life by trying to manipulate Veronica. And she fell for it too. I told her that I found her and her entire family to be extremely manipulative and calculating. I even put forward my mother's theory that she was probably doing this because she did not want to lose access to her family and their money, which is why it was very important for her to remain on good terms with them. I could be wrong, but given the current circumstances I could be right too, since as far as I remember, Veronica had always known that I did not want a baby until I had reached a certain stage in my career, and she had been fine with it in the beginning. But as soon as her parents started pressuring her, she wanted a baby all of a sudden as well. I had always tried to overlook these things in the past because I loved her, but now I couldn't ignore them anymore. She always had been the kind of daughter who did everything that her parents asked her to, and they would spoil her rotten in return as well. That's just how their family functions, I guess. But unfortunately I don't work like that, and I did not want to be a part of whatever this was anymore. I ended the message by telling her that I had already filed for divorce the day before, and soon enough she would be getting served. I also told her that I would hope that she found the terms of the divorce to be fair because all I'm doing is splitting whatever we own together equally, and then we will go our separate ways without any alimony and stuff. I sent this message to her about an hour ago, and I've been really relieved since then because now I've managed to get a lot of things off my chest that I've been trying to talk about for a really long time now, and I just feel so much better now that it's finally done. Update 2. Hey, so last evening I sent a message to Veronica, and you guys can read what I said in my last update. Anyway, after reading that, she didn't respond to me immediately, but she showed up at the house this morning. When I saw her standing outside and furiously ringing the doorbell, I told her I wanted her to go away because I was about to leave for work, and I didn't want any drama right in the morning. But she was very upset and told me that the house still belonged to her as well since she had paid her share of the rent this month too, and that was true. So I eventually decided to let her in. And as soon as she was inside, she started screaming at me and told me that whatever I had said in my message had been really horrible. And she couldn't believe that's what I thought of her. But I really didn't have the time to argue, so I just told her that she had said a lot of things in her previous messages and on the day of the party as well, and neither could I believe that this was what she thought of me. So, I guess this was fair enough since we had finally decided to be truthful to each other. I didn't see anything wrong in saying what I thought of her. She started cursing at me then and told me that she had already acknowledged the fact that she had made a huge mistake and had even put in her resignation at her job so she could make our marriage work since that's how serious she was about this. And she wanted me to take it seriously as well. I didn't say anything to her. I just stood there without a word while she continued to yell at me, and eventually when she couldn't scream anymore, I told her that I had had enough, and I couldn't do this anymore. I told her that I loved her for a really long time, and that's why I'd put up with a lot of things that I don't think a lot of other people would put up with so patiently, and I'm not just talking about her family, they were definitely a part of it, but there was obviously a lot more to our marriage. I guess by now it has been established that we had always been really different people, and even in the beginning while we had been dating it had been the same way. But the problem was that I had always expected her to grow out of her childish behavior from when she was in college. Even back when we had been dating, and occasionally in the initial stages of our marriage as well, she had a tendency to go out of her way to flirt with other men or do things on purpose to annoy me so that I would feel jealous and stuff. It was cute in college, but afterwards it just became weird and embarrassing to deal with. Sometimes when she was mad at me and we had friends over, or maybe if I were hanging out with them, she would go out of her way to get clingy with other guys, and that's not the way normal folks behave. That had still been forgivable, but I had no idea that it would lead to something like what had happened recently at the party, because I'm pretty sure that whatever happened with Nathan, it was just an exaggerated version of things that she had already tried in the past. And of course, on top of that, she had pretty much always been really spoiled, entitled, and manipulative. She would always do whatever it took to get her way, and I was always bending over backwards for her because I knew that I couldn't give her the same kind of lifestyle that she had been used to while she had been staying with her parents. But the least I could do for her was at least try to be the kind of guy that she wanted me to be. Basically, for as long as we had been together, I had been the one, going out of my way to be the perfect guy for her. But she never thought that it was important to change her ways in order to live with me too. It had taken me a really long time to accept that, and obviously the recent incident had truly shaken me up, so I couldn't live in denial of this anymore. But these were the facts, and I had to face them now. And now that I had finally realized these things, I couldn't just ignore them and go back to pretending like everything was fine just because I love Veronica. I had to respect myself as well, and that's why I had to leave, which is what I told her in the end. And I then asked her to leave me alone as politely as I could. While I had been talking, she had just been quiet throughout. And once I was done, she told me that I was making a huge mistake and I was going to regret it in the future when I finally lost her. I just told her that I highly doubted that was going to happen, and then she let out an almost never-ending string of curse words for me, and then she walked out of the door, slammed it as hard as she could, but ultimately she did leave, and now we are going to get that divorce. Update 3. Hi everyone, so it has been a couple of months since I filed for a divorce, and since we don't have a waiting period in our state, Veronica and I were able to wrap things up pretty quickly. The divorce came through 2 weeks ago, and we are now officially done and dusted with our marriage. I honestly wish I could say that I feel bad about any of it, but I really don't. Instead, I just feel really relieved and free, and I feel like this is something that I should have done a really long time back, but I guess I needed a huge wake-up call. The past few months have been pretty much uneventful because after that last conversation that I had with Veronica when she came over and I told her everything that had been wrong with our relationship, she had blocked me everywhere. Within a few days of that conversation, she responded to my divorce petition, but to my surprise, she demanded alimony. Apparently, according to her, we had been living off of her parents' money so far. But now that her parents were mad at her and refusing to transfer any funds anymore, I didn't want to stay with her. She had been trying to make me out to be a gold digger, but I just spoke to her in person and told her that I could get everybody involved, and then things could get really ugly for her and her family because even she knew that none of this was true, and she was only trying to get on my nerves because she did not want to let me get away with divorce on my terms. Unfortunately, pettiness and childishness like this would not fly when legal stuff was involved, and I told her that my lawyer and I would really come for her if she did not modify her petition to be more honest. And I guess for some reason it worked, probably because she did not want to make her parents even more upset than she already had with the stunt that she pulled off at our anniversary party. But anyway, apart from that, nothing major really happened, and soon enough we had wrapped up our divorce and now we have gone our separate ways. I've heard from a couple of friends that she's been going through a tough time, but honestly, I've been doing really well. I pretty much threw myself into my job after I filed for divorce because I desperately needed something to distract myself. I'm about to receive a promotion pretty soon, and I really feel like my life has started to turn around, and I'm really grateful for everything that's going well for me right now.